Welcome back to the crazy train that we have deemed the NAO show. We are going to talk a couple trades, one really trade, and then our trade between Marky Mark and the Prince, that'd be me. And then we're going to just jump into the rabbit hole that is Cam Akers' injury. As you can tell, we have the full cast today. We got Tank Top Mike and Marky Mark. How you guys all doing?
Feels pretty good to be back. I missed everybody.
How's Texas treating you right now?
It's fantastic.
Marky Mark, how are you?
Well, I'm glad to have Mike back too. I'm pretty stoked, man, because I got official fan club now. Someone from the East Tennessee chapter of the Marky Mark fan club sent me a nice
more
little.
Than one chapter?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, plenty of chapters, but sent me a nice little gift here. If you can see this on camera, it's the Dallas Cowboys Christmas album from back when I was a young boy, which is a long freaking time ago.
Has the Roman Empire been established by the time you were born or after that?
They had just fallen. They had just.
Oh.
Will that work in your Victrola, or do you have to get one of those fancy record players?
Yeah, it's the newer vinyl, so I don't know that old Victrola needle might do it some damage, man.
Oddly enough, I have a Victrola vinyl record player. So.
That's good. Well, let's get into these trades, Marky Mark.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this one's an older one, but we haven't been on to talk about it, so I'm excited to finally talk about this trade. It was kind of fun because we did this on your birthday, over drinks and dinner at one of our favorite watering holes, and we had talked about it all day, and it hadn't happened, and we finally made it happen. I don't know. Maybe the alcohol loosened me up a little bit. I don't know.
That's what he said. What up?
Sean knows how to make a trade with me. Just get him liquored up, man.
Get a couple beers and you'll do something crazy.
All right. This one has a lot of moving parts. So let me name it. We got Mick Jagger receiving O.J. Howard, Nyheim Hines, Royce Freeman, Nico Collins, a 2022 second, and two 2022 third round picks.
Wait. Why you gotta say it like that? Why you gotta be all like
forceful?
And two third round picks? Why you gotta say it like that, Marky?
By my count, that's 7 moving parts on my side. And let's see how many moving parts on your side. I see 3.
It's gonna go, huh?
But you got Dallas Goedert, Anthony Miller, and Seth Williams. We'll let Mike start us off, and we'll go to you next, Sean. Mike, what do you think about this trade?
This one I'm trying to look at in the lens of July 2nd, because I think it may have changed since then, in my opinion, a little bit.
Okay.
But in the lens of July 2nd, I actually think it's pretty all right. I know that Sean was looking at, getting a better little shoring up the tight end, if I may.
Shoring up the
Ooh, little twist on words. I like it.
And specifically, this is where I think it may have changed because of some recent Philly news. But at the time, I think that it was a great move. I think Goddard, even if Ertz comes back, which it kind of looks like he may end up back in Philly this year, I think eventually, if not this year, it's going to be Goddard's team anyway. So I think that that's a pretty good, bump up. I think who's your other tight end, like the corpse of Ebron or something like that?
I got the hoop.
Oh, yeah. See, okay, hoop could be fine. So not the corpse of Ebron. I wouldn't start him anyway.
Definitely the corpse of Ebron. Totally agree.
So, yeah, I think upgrading Goddard is a fine tight end thing. And I'm kind of focused on that because I know it seems like in some of the talks that we had, it seems like that was probably your primary focus. And this one was going after a guy like Goddard. And then on Mark's side, I like the picks, man. I think that that's a good little haul for Goddard. And, like we talked about in the pre-show, Hines is one of those guys you got to get the right week, but I think he's going to still be a part of that offense, even with Jonathan Taylor being as talked about as he has been. So I think you got some pieces you can still throw in, but those picks, I think, they're probably with how you draft, I think they're going to translate into some good players. It's one of those that there's so many moving parts. It's hard to really pick one winning side, if you will, especially with some of these picks going out, into the next draft and stuff. But I like it for both sides, just on the surface. I think that the recent Zach Ertz news maybe hurts the Goddard stuff in the short term. In the long term, though, I think it's fine. That's a great analysis for being off for like 4 weeks.
I was just gonna say, you've gone 4 weeks and then you come back with your ESPN degree and start dropping bombs on everybody. Well, I'll try to follow that up.
Have you been practicing in front of the mirror holding
Yeah.
a hairbrush?
I had 20 hours in the car, and all I talked about was this.
Well, I'll try to follow up Tank Top Mike with his superb analysis on that trade. But yes, I was trying to go for the tight end, and when I originally went after it with Mark, I started off the trade like I was going after him, which I knew which guy he wanted. I knew I needed to throw a couple picks in there to make up the difference, because the guy he wanted was Royce Freeman, which is a handcuff at best, and Nico Collins. Those were the guys he was looking at. And to this day, I regret getting rid of Nico Collins, because I think he's going to come back and bite me right in the backside. But I definitely got Goddard, and that was when there was a solid chance that Ertz could either come back or be moved. And I was kind of hoping that he'd get moved, but I think Goddard's definitely the tight end one. But with Ertz being there, he's going to take away targets that could have been given to Goddard, which will hurt him not significantly, but I'd be remiss if I said that it wouldn't hurt him. The picks are definitely going to be fun to look at, because I would have drafted grade A guys at those picks or moved those picks into even better players. But I guess Marky Mark has an okay track record with drafting. So I like the trade for me, but I know a lot of the guys in the NAO and our fans, our millions and millions of fans, are going to say Mark won because he has like 17 different things coming at him for that one pick. But I like it for my side.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marky Mark. Try to say something after both of us.
Well, it's ironic because that thing I used to obtain numbers about these things,
The thing
word
that
that
must
we
not
don't
be
say.
named.
Yeah. Had you winning, mostly because of Goddard. So yeah, there are a lot of moving parts. It was funny because you came at me early in the day and said, "Yeah, I'm looking at Goddard. Would you be willing to trade him?" And I think I said something like, "I'm always willing to trade, but you're gonna have to wow me." And then you came back with 6 moving pieces, and I'm like, "Oh, wow!"
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. I had you kick in Freeman just so I could wrap up that Denver backfield and make sure I had every piece of that, along with Javonte Williams, who I drafted in the rookie draft. So that helped it a lot. I do like Nico Collins. I had drafted Naeem Hines in the startup draft, so you knew I was, even though it was a later round pick, you knew I was definitely kind of in on him. Not that he's a flex guy. He's a handcuff flex guy.
I'm so happy to move him.
Yeah, I know you were trying to get rid of him for a while. Howard is the risky part, and I think a lot of people looked at it and said, "Oh, Mark, you killed him on this trade." But I'm down to Kittle, who's had an injury history, Everett, who could be the number one guy, but it's not done yet. I think Everett can be good in Seattle, but it's not a done deal. Howard is only 9 months removed now from an Achilles injury, and that's usually about a year.
Achilles injury, just
yeah. There's a theme to the night show, Achilles injuries, but yeah, it's risky. I like Howard. He had a good 4 weeks with Brady, and then he got hurt. And it's one of those injuries that usually takes about a year to get back to, football, playing football again. Maybe not quite in football shape even by that time. So, Howard is definitely, I don't look at him like, oh yeah, he's my backup tight end. Everett's probably my backup tight end, and is he going to be the number one in Seattle? So they still got Disley there. So yeah, I looked at it as it's a big risk for me, but with all the draft capital, it's what put me over the top. So that's why I took the trade in the end, because I really had no draft picks. I had like a fourth and fifth rounder maybe. So now I got at least a second and a couple of the thirds, and something to either trade with or something to rebuild with if it all falls apart for me this year. So
in the original offer, those one of those thirds was in 2023.
2023.
3, yeah.
Yeah, 2023. And I said, if you give me a 22 so I can do something with it right away, in the next draft, then yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the tweaks was give me a 22 third instead of the 23 and give me Royce Freeman, and we'll call it a deal.
I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
We hadn't really talked about Anthony Miller and Seth Williams. Miller is that guy that, there's a lot of people that are just like praying for that breakout finally, wondering whatever happened to such a high draft pick. And, he got drafted and then the regime changed and he's not their guy. I think a lot of people were hoping for him to get traded to up that value a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of a flyer. We'll see what happens. Seth Williams, I was pretty high on, but I thought between him and Nico Collins, that Collins had a quicker avenue to playing time than Seth Williams. I actually like Seth Williams a little better, but he's just buried, on that depth chart. So those guys are just kind of throw-ins at the end, sort of like, who are you going to drop? I'll take them from you,
Yeah, because with a league so astute to like everybody, like you can't to find somebody on the wire, it's going to be a shot in the dark. And if it blows up and it actually turns into something, everybody's going to know it because you're going to be telling them, oh, I took this undrafted free agent that was trying to get on the practice squad that just so happens to make the team and is now running back 3. Yeah, what's up? What up? Like it was never going to, I was never going to be able to pick somebody off the wish list or the waiver wire to get anything better than what you're going to drop probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And last thing I'll say about this trade was I'm well aware that I helped you out at a spot you were weak. And I know that we're all kind of competing in that middle area to get up into the playoffs. I hated giving you something that might put you over the top. But although all that draft capital was worth it. And like I said, Nico I liked, and Royce gives me the whole Denver backfield. So that's what put it over the top. So it'll be interesting to see how
with that draft capital, we should mark this one down as let's look back on it after the draft next year or something like that and see who those players, well, not like anybody's going to keep their draft picks right now. So
I trade
them down again.
I get them and trade them right away. I'm surprised I still have them all, man. Because when you're in win now mode, you're trading away those picks to get players for now. So we'll see what happens with all that.
That's kind of the nice part about this league. Everybody's pretty active unless your name is Goofy and FNG or Silly Dilly's pretty active every once in a while. But everybody else, I mean, we're all in. We're all on top of it. I mean, running back could do a little bit more, but shit, he always could do a little bit more. That guy's one step in, one step out in this league, I think. Shots fired. All right.
I do have an in with running back, but it'll cost you at least a 4th or a 5th round pick, but I can get you in contact with him pretty quick.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll keep that in my back pocket. I have a 5th round pick that is just burning in my back pocket right now.
So now we got another way to get draft picks moved. A trade broker. We have a trade broker. Just give me a 4th rounder.
Shit, if anybody can broker or trade with Goofy and anybody for anything substantial, I'll give them a 5th round pick because you did something that no one else could do.
Well, we did have one more trade. We had Thaddeus Moss traded for a 4th rounder.
Cool story. Let's go on to the Cam Akers
Moving on. Moving on. All right. Yeah. Cam Akers talk, man. Gosh, you guys know that was devastating news to me. This is going to sound like hyperbole, but this is the honest to God truth that I was at work on the computer doing stuff for work. And, I got the notification came across and I looked at it, and it's Cam Akers is, tore his Achilles, and I was like, oh crap, and I put the phone down and I'm going back to work, and I'm like, wait a minute, was that Cam Akers? And did they say it was torn Achilles? And I'm looking back on it and I'm like, damn it, man, and I put the phone back down and I'm like, wait a minute, was that really Cam Akers? LA Rams, Cam Akers, LA Rams, I honestly looked at my phone 3 times because it was just surreal, man. I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something, man. So yeah, that was horrible news for me, man. Of course, Mike, start us off with your thoughts on this whole ordeal with his Achilles injury.
Yeah, this is a tough one. There's just so much about Cam and to talk about with this. I don't even really know where to start. um, I mean, I guess my first thought when I saw the news break, I was actually having a little. I was working really hard in the living room, I guess, and news came up, and I kind of thought the same thing, like, oh, Cam, and then I had to go from like the whole torn ACL to wait, no, that's an Achilles. Like this could be not career ending since he's 22, but like this, obviously you picked him up originally, pick or round 1, pick 5. He's been traded a few times for some serious draft capital. And now suddenly to hear that, it hurt me knowing that he was on your roster, which, I reached out to you afterwards, like it was a eulogy almost.
Yep. Yeah, you and Sean both.
It's funny that you say that, Mike, because I did the exact same thing. And I'm at work, and all of a sudden I hear ding, ding. I'm like, all right, what's happening in the league? And all of a sudden I hear the docking bros are picking up every freaking running back on the wire, and I'm like, oh no, what happened?
And they all just happen to be with the LA Rams. What's up with that?
What happened to be with the Rams? I'm just like, oh no, what happened to Henderson or Akers? And then I heard about the Achilles with Akers, and I was like, oh no. And I reached out to Marky Mark, and I was like, oh, sorry to hear about your guy. Like he died or something. Like that his whole league, his whole season was up in smoke. And I was just like, oh man, I'm really sorry. I know you've been working hard. Nope.
Yeah, definitely had some bad luck. You look at the CMC injury last year, and I traded him away and got Akers in that trade. And, I think some people looking at it like, oh my God, you gave away CMC to get Akers just to get an injury. But that trade was more about getting the number 2 pick. And I was looking at Chase there, Jamar Chase there for sure, just thinking that I needed one more really good receiver to put me over the top, and a guy that is going to be really good for years to come. So, I really wanted in on Jamar Chase, and I made trades in both my dynasty leagues trying to get him. Was able to get him in one league, but not the other. So yeah, to have CMC go down 1 year and now Akers this year is pretty tough. I've had some bad luck, man, at the running back position for sure. But I was, glad to get Chase in that deal. Akers I had picked up at, like you said, Mike, at pick 105, and had all kinds of interest in him for trades, and finally did trade him away. If I had just traded him, I might be able to make a trade for some lesser value and move on from it. But the fact that he got moved around the league and came back to me in a trade that involved CMC, I'm invested now. And it's going to be hard to get that return. I got to hope that he kind of, is the exception to the rule for an Achilles injury and comes back and still is performing at some kind of high level.
What's funny is we're talking about trades, and I'm looking back on the history of Cam Akers and the trade right before the CMC trade. He got traded for 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. That just tells you, like,
He's been involved in 2 trades and had 2 first-round picks because the one before that was 2 first-rounders too.
Exactly, and that just tells you, like, we all know running backs they cost to get them. Me also have paid top dollar for a few running backs in my day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. Like,
But you're the poster boy for overpaying for a running back.
Hey, I don't have a freaking running back issue right now, do I, Marky Mark?
No. Draft capital issue, but not a running back issue.
You don't need draft picks if you're winning the championship.
Yeah, you're right. No, I've backed you up on those, man. I've said that you got
half of my draft picks. Of course, you're gonna back me up.
Yeah, I think it was Mike that pretty quickly said, "Well, hey, at least he got Henderson." And yeah, I am glad that I had started that trade talk, and it kind of fell apart. And I think I went a week or so and thought, hey, I got to get back in on this, man. I can't let this go. And I'm glad that I was kind of aggressive on trading for Henderson. So at least I've got something to move on to. But, I'm not as happy with Henderson as I was with Akers. I mean, Henderson, I don't think is I don't look at him like a workhorse. I don't think he can handle a heavy workload. I think he's a good number 2 guy that can flex in, be a 1B kind of guy, but to be a number 1, a true number 1, I'm just not confident that I'm going to be in week 9 starting Darrell Henderson. I think week 9 I'm going to be like, oh crap, yeah, he's got an ankle or something going on, and I got to try to flex in somebody else. So I'm glad I have Henderson, but I'm not looking at him like a 1-for-1 replacement for Akers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing
I don't think the Rams are either. I mean, obviously right now they're saying, they're going to evaluate what they have in house, which obviously, like, you're going into camp, there's no harm in doing that. So that's the obvious coach speak to say right now in the, late July. But, then you start to think about some of these veteran unsigned running backs. Like, we listed a bunch of them. Le'Veon Bell's out there. Todd Gurley's out there, who, obviously played for the Rams. Like, all these guys are out there. Adrian Peterson still wants to play.
Shady McCoy could sit on your bench while you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if Shady's on your bench, you win the Super Bowl, so you may as well get him there.
It's proven.
So, yeah, it's, I think right now going into camp, that's the obvious stuff to hear. But, like, I think going into camp and, the last few weeks of the offseason, we'll see what really happens there. It'll be kind of telling for Henderson at that point.
Yeah.
It's funny that you talk about Henderson's durability, because obviously everyone thinks, oh, you got Henderson, that's fine. He's an automatic switch in and out. But you're expecting Akers to have RB2, RB1 upside on your team. And for Henderson to be able to do that for the whole 17 weeks with obviously a bye week in there someplace is a lot to ask a guy that was not expecting to do that, Yeah. He's definitely going to be a 1A, 1B situation. I think at the beginning, unless they pick up a guy like what we were talking about, a veteran. I think if they pick up a veteran, it's going to be more like 80-20. If they pick up a guy that is more like kind of more proven, a little younger, a little different speed like Henderson. Because Henderson to me looks like a big back that tries to barrel over people that has a little bit of speed to him. So if they can get a small guy that can like kind of catch balls out of the backfield, what have you, it might be even more of a cut into Henderson's usage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you talked about Evan picking up Xavier Jones and was it Jake Funk, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't think those guys are I would not go into this with just those two. There's just no experience there. Both those guys are almost 24 years old. They're really, they were in college late. What's the name? Xavier Jones had one good year at SMU, but he was 23 years old in that season, or 22 years old, I think. Maybe no, it might have been 23. I think he got hurt and took like the 5th year option, And so he came into the league late. Funk came into the league late. And I just would not go in with those two guys behind Henderson. I think that they should probably try to trade for somebody like a Royce Freeman, who's, buried in the depth chart. Sony Michel, who's been talked about going, yeah, you're laughing because you're like, yeah, at least Royce has got a little bit more relevance if he goes away from Denver, probably. But yeah, Sony Michel's been talked about as a guy. Yeah, I'd be looking at some guys deep in debt. Justin Jackson from the Chargers, right down the road. Not right down the road, right down the hallway. Maybe somebody like that they can bring in and that's got some experience. I sure wouldn't want to go in with those two guys. They're good flyers to take. I don't blame Evan for picking them up, but I don't know that I would go into the season with those two guys. I'd definitely be looking to bring some veteran presence in there.
Talking from the Docking Bros point of view, I mean, they have nothing to lose by adding those guys to the depth chart. They're never going to put those, even if they do get starts and they turn into a 1B, they're never going to start them. So as soon as one of those guys turns into something worthwhile, they're going to move them for draft capital with FNG. And FNG is going to be like, ooh, give me this guy. And he's not going to turn into anything. And they're going to get the picks that they wanted. And all they had to do was pick the guys up before everybody else from the waiting list.
Yeah. It's funny, in my other league, it's so inactive. I could have picked those guys up, but instead I actually picked up Raquel Armstead in that league. It's a guy that, everybody's like, oh, he's is he still alive? I think Evan said when I picked him up in our league. The guy had a lot of upside and actually had some good moments as a rookie before he went on the COVID list and stayed there all year. He's with the Giants now. I feel like, they got Devontae Booker, but I feel like Armstead's the guy that can move up to the number 2 spot behind Saquon. So I didn't even pick those guys up when I had the chance. Somebody came in the next day and picked up Xavier Jones, Actually, Mr. Rest in Peace. Josh came in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Josh Hill came in and picked up Xavier Jones. I could have picked him up, but I was just like, I'm just not crazy about either one of these guys, man. Funk or Jones, So
well, I totally disagree with your handcuff option in New York, because Booker is totally the 100% handcuff. Saquon, I broke my knee again, Barkley. You know what I mean? So just so we can get that out there.
Spoken like a true Booker rosterer. We don't say owner anymore, but we got a Booker truther. We got a Booker truther here. So.
Well, that was great talking about your lack of running back depth now.
Yeah. Certainly took a big hit.
The special we have for everybody in the NAO league.
Yeah. So this is, we're going to kind of call this superlatives categories. We want to have a little fun voting on players kind of thing, or voting on rosters kind of thing, I guess. This is an idea that came from Evan. I'll give him some props. He said, kind of like in the yearbook where you have the most likely to succeed kind of thing going on. We want to do a little bit of that for the NAO league. So we're going to do 4 categories that we're going to introduce tonight. And then we're going to ask you guys to give us suggestions for 4 more categories. I'll send out an email to everybody. I think most everybody's listening now, but
FNG, you suck. Go ahead.
Just in case we have somebody like FNG that's not listening. I don't know. I work with a guy. I can always ask him, hey man, are you listening to the podcast? And if he says no, I can just smack him on the back of the head and tell him to go listen. So
well, it's not going to hurt his lineup. Have you looked at his lineup lately? I think Boston Scott is RB2 right now.
He was part of the Darrell Henderson trade. Should have kept him.
Oh, shoot. Look at that. Coming back on him.
That's not pretty.
What did Henderson get moved for? 2 4th-round picks in Henderson?
It was a little more than that, but he might be kicking himself like, damn, I could have cashed in on that. Could have got a 1st rounder. Except I
even
didn't have a
know-
first rounder.
I don't even know if he has anything. If he understands the severity of the situation.
Yeah. All right. So we'll give you guys some examples of what we're looking for. We're going to give you the first 4 categories. We have 2 serious categories and 2 joke categories. We kind of like the same for the next 4 is 2 serious and 2 joke. So we'll end up with 4 serious categories, 4 joke categories. Should be fun, man. So the first category is going to be most likely to just miss the playoffs. I don't think that needs a lot of explanation. So we're looking for a team that's ranked there at the top preseason that for one reason or another could miss the playoffs. So Mike, what would be some of those reasons they missed the playoffs?
That I did it last year, probably.
So what happened to you last year? Tell us about it.
That was fantastic. It was really great.
Yeah, you enjoyed it
Yeah,
immensely.
it was fun. Yeah. I blame Odell Beckham personally, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you were like up there in the
Yeah, it
fourth
was-
spot for most of the season.
I think week 2 to like a week or 2 before the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
in that 4th playoff spot the entire time.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, if I had kept my first round draft pick, I would have had pick 2.
That's right. That is true.
Was it I seriously I don't remember, but I think it was some injury.
Yeah,
Was
it
it?
was the big ones were Eckler and Beckham were my big injuries.
Okay,
And then Dak got hurt, and then that pretty much affected Zeke the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think Zeke gave up more than he's
I think so too. Yeah.
more than he's like fading, which is
Yeah.
maybe another show discussion, but
Yeah, right.
but yeah, so basically the Dak injury got Zeke, and I lost those 2 guys too. Yeah, that was pretty rough. At least I had like Claypool, but I could bring him up. But yeah, I was digging deep.
I think I told you I thought Zeke was tanking because he was getting ready to go into that big contract and he didn't want to hurt himself playing for a crap team, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that about our Cowboys, but that's kind of what
Yeah, he
happened,
looked good
so
the first 3 weeks. He was Zeke, and then
Yep.
right after that game, he was nothing like
went
him.
on downhill.
Mhm.
All right, our second category is a joke one. So this is most likely to leave the league because of Evan. And Evan was the one that came up with that one, so I'll give him some props for that. What do you think, Sean?
I got to bite my tongue on who I would think, but I think it's a good one to say the very least. If it's not blatant, you shouldn't put anything in because everybody knows which one we should be talking about for this one. So.
He's our most loyal listener, and we love him. He's been on the show 2-3 times now, right?
Yeah, we won't let him back on because he's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So you're saying, you're saying that we love him and hate him at the same time. What's up with that, man? What is it about Evan that brings out the best and the worst in people?
I don't know. He just got that skill.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's going to be a fun one. We'll see what the votes say on that one. So, all right, we have another category here, which is a serious category. So this is the most likely surprise team to make the playoffs. So kind of the other side of the coin there. Mm-hmm. Mike, you were on the other side of that. So, so, expand on that a little bit. Most likely surprise team to make the playoffs.
I guess to directly compare it to last year again, I guess this would be like Aaron, who's because of my misfortune, and he had that late season surge.
Yep.
Yeah, who can stay healthy and win those last, go on a 4-game win streak in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, the underdogs almost made it in there, and they had a crappy start until Evan came in and saved his whole team and actually started doing something with the team. Oh wait,
man,
commissioners.
Yeah, they were. Wasn't it like?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Dissing the co-commish. Oh my gosh.
One of the other commish.
Man, I bet someone's going to be watching to see if you have an illegal roster down the stretch.
It's okay. If you have an illegal roster, you can still win the championship and still be okay.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is that team that's in the ranked down towards the bottom, and we've had a couple of ranking shows, and so someone that's ranked in that middle to bottom that can make a push, make a run, and yeah, Aaron did that last year. You remember Skippy, R.I.P. He just missed it. He was really close, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
who was the team that got destroyed in the whatever bowl by him? Oh wait, that was me.
You didn't really lose to Skippy. You just lost to Derrick Henry 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that really is what happened. Derrick Henry's like, oh, okay, I think everybody's in their playoffs now. I'm going to actually do really, really well. And
yeah.
Luckily for me, I had to go up against that.
Derrick Henry is the running back for the Titans, the Tennessee Titans, in case some listeners don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember he had Lamar and Kelsey too, though, so they all performed well down the stretch. All right, our last category is most likely to lose a matchup over a stat correction. Did you have anybody in mind, Sean, when you suggested that category?
No, I don't have a soul or souls in mind for that one at all.
I'm older and my memory's fading, so I don't know why exactly you would come up with that one, but it seems like a fun category.
I mean, I really just kind of pulled it out of nowhere. There's nothing I'm referencing to last year,
Well, guys, we're running out of time, but I am going to send out an email. I'm going to ask you to give us 4 more suggestions. I'll tell you the suggestions we have here, and let's come up with 8 that we will all vote on as a league, and we'll have a fun little show on it. We got to try to make this come together in a week's time. So I'll be right on it first thing in the morning after everybody listens to this. I know you're all waiting for this to drop. We'll get on Steele and get his ass to get it out there quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's the NAO show. Thanks to the host. Ian, you suck.